Hello everyone, this is your 5 and welcome to Global Mattel Toy Review. In today's toy review, we're looking at the 2008 release by Mattel of the DC Universe Classics action figure review. And today's action figure review, looking at wave number 6, figure number 3 that comes with the head and torso of the Collect and Collect piece of Kalibak. We'll be looking at Killer Moth. Now, I got this straight from eBay for 60 ringgit, including shipping of course. In Toy department stores that's selling this figure a few years ago, now no more of course, retail price is being sold for 79 ringgit and 90 cents, which is a really good deal. I actually saved up 20 ringgit there. Now let's take a look at the packaging, especially at the back portion of it, which showcase the comic art style for all the characters that appear in this wave. In the top section here, you got Shazam, when the kid transformed into Shazam. Mr. Miracle fighting against Kalibak in the middle there. You're hardly able to see Kalibak a little bit because in the middle portion it starts to brighten up. Here you got Shazam again. At the bottom middle section there, there's Killer Moth. There's Mr. Miracle again. Not Dr. Impossible, of course, I already did the comparison. We have Superman there and Hawkman against Kalibak. Very nice. Now in the packaging we got Killer Moth there holding his gun, and he's standing on top of the torso of the Kalibak figure, which is quite interesting. Now let's take a look at the back portion of the packaging itself. Now here we get the rest of the wave itself. We got Mr. Miracle that comes with a right leg, Hawkman that comes with a right arm, Killer Moth with the head and torso, Superman with the left arm, and Shazam that comes with a left leg. And back then they don't actually include one more figure that includes the figure stand, which is kind of pointless actually. In the middle there's Kalibak. Here you got a nice little image of Killer Moth. And his biography: Yuri Walker was an unsuccessful career criminal who took on an even more unsuccessful career as a costume villain. What he became was a joke, both to his fellow criminals and crime fighters alike. Disgusted with being laughed at, Killer Moth made a deal with the demon Neron for greater power in exchange for his soul. Powers that changed him into a fierce half-man, half-insect, or mad Charaxus. I wonder why they didn't make a figure of Charaxus. Oh well. Statistics: first appearance Batman number 63, March 1951. Real name Yuri Walker. Occupation: career criminal. Base of operations: Gotham City. Special abilities: suit allows flight, cocoon gun, and razor sonar waves. Very interesting. Now without further ado, let's open up this packaging so we can molest the figure. Be right back. And we're back after removing the figure and dress the stuff up from packaging. Now let's take a look at Kalibak's torso and head here. Surprisingly, he sports a lot of variety of colors, which is very nicely done, but it's not well painted because there's a lot of bleeding going on. Now the back of the hair and the beard is all painted in black and blue highlights. Very nicely done. Skin tone is painted in light brown, but there's a lot of bleeding going on from this point. Back of the ear here. So that's at this section here, the lower chin here, bled to the hair itself and the beard. So does one side of the face, it bled to the entire, beard and the hair. It's not really well done. Now the eyes, edges of the eyes is painted in black, and then inside of it, the eyes is painted in red with the yellow pupils. Very nicely done. Individual tooth and fangs are painted. It shows the gaps, but the problem is the gaps is not painted in black because it uses the same colors as the skin tone there, which looks kind of weird. The entire torso is painted in swamp green, as you can see there. Original colors is dark green for the plastic material. Now you notice the logo on the chest here is painted in yellow, but some of the green paint job smeared onto this section here, and then some of the yellow stuff bled onto the green, like here, here, and here. And from here onwards, the yellow stripe starts to fade off. Not really well done. This section here is painted in lime green with no problems, surprisingly. Now the entire shoulder belt here is yellow plastic, but you notice all this diagrams is painted in red all the way to the back here. However, the red paint job also bled onto the yellow plastic. Not really great. Bottom section here is painted in gold. Well, dull gold at least. The majority of the belt itself is not painted at all, it's just pure yellow plastic. So the buttons here, or something, is painted in green. But you notice the edges here, it starts to fade off. Got some black for the main belt buckle itself, and in the middle, it's painted in green. Back of the belt itself is also painted with no problems. Lower section of the belt is painted in green, which bled onto the yellow plastic of the belt. There's a lot of bleeding problems with this figure. Now for the sculpt of the figure, the head sculpt looks amazingly very detailed stuff, especially on the hair and the face. You notice there's a lot of wrinkles going on. Very nicely done. One side of the eye itself, it squints a little bit, so it looks a bit smaller. Very nicely done. The details there. Torso is very nicely done on the front part of the torso, nothing on the back, of course. Very nice with the logo. And the waist joint here, the belt is just an add-on. Now there's a bit of articulation. The head can actually move a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. Can pivot the head a little bit up and down because it's being hindered by the shoulder belt. Torso can go back, forward, and has a waist joint that turns 360 degrees. But you will notice the moment you turn it on, you turn the entire waist, you also will bend this belt buckle here. So there's a little bit of a problem. Otherwise, the entire torso and the head, it looks alright, it looks great, but not really perfect due to the paint smudges all over. But really nicely done with the details there. I can't talk more about this because, well, it's just the torso and the head. It doesn't come with the arms and legs, so I'm just going to leave this one side. Now let's take a look at Killer Moth's accessory here. Now Killer Moth comes with a cocoon gun, as you can see, it's painted in dull gold. And there's not a lot of details for the gun itself. There's a handle, there's no trigger. There's a little bit details there. End of the muzzle is just pure flat. What I really don't like how DC Universe Classics would put their accessories is that they always put or embed numbering. One side here stated 1, the other side China. I really don't like this. Now the weapon can actually slot onto his right hand, but it's a bit loose. It fits more better on the left hand, and you can actually slot this weapon to his holster here, like so. Now let's take a look at Killer Moth's paint job. Now there's no paint problems, just some of the paint job is not dark enough, and some parts of the body is not painted. Granted that he's exactly how he is, as shown in the comics, with horrible costume colors. Not too sure why would anyone dress themselves as a supervillain with this kind of colors. You got purple, yellow, green, lime green to be in fact, orange, and it's really wrong colors for a Batman villain. It's not a problem, it's not the fault of the figure itself. It's the fault of the character, the character who wore the costume. Now the head is not painted at all, it's just pure plastic, pure green plastic. The eyes, however, is painted really dark red, so it looks really menacing. However, no matter how menacing your red eyes is, the rest of your costume looks really questionable in colors. Now the entire torso here is pure purple plastic, and the logo, the Moth logo, as you can see here, is on the chest, but it's not dark enough, it's not yellow enough due to the really purple colored torso there. So does the bottom section of the wrist here, not counting the hands. The wrist here is painted in orange. The entire leg is in orange plastic, but painted with lime green stripes all over the legs. holster here and the belt is painted in yellow. Now the back portion there, this portion, of course, is not painted. The entire wings, there's no paint job, it's just a clear translucent red plastic. Now for the sculpt of the figure, the head sculpt looks very nice. I love the head sculpt, very unique. It comes with 2 antennas, very nicely done. Really like the head sculpt. But the body is nothing spectacular. It's a typical DC Universe male sculpt, so there's nothing so spectacular about it. It does comes with a unique, well, belt and gun holster, a unique head, and pair of wings, which no articulation at all. It just stays like this. Very nicely done. Now let's take a look at the figure's articulation. The head can actually pivot downwards, upwards, and turn 360 degrees. Torso here can pivot downwards and backwards. Waist joint turn 360 degrees, which is very tight. Let's get here and the sounds. Shoulder joint here can turn 360 degrees, close all the way in like so, or all the way in like so. Very nice. And the shoulders can raise up this high, upper bicep turn 360 degrees, elbow joint bend this far, wrist joint turn 360 degrees. Now the hip joints move forward, back, and spread the legs this far. Lower thigh has a shoulder joint that turns 360 degrees. Knee joint bends this far, and ankle joint goes downward and upward. Now overall, I really like the figure. There's no paint problems. I only wish that some of the paint job, like the logo here, the Moth logo, is a bit more darker, so that's the orange here. And I really wish they paint the head itself, because it looks too plastic for my taste. But overall, I really like the figure. Have a unique head sculpt, have a nice pair of wings, but it looks rather bland because the majority of the body is a typical DC Universe male body, so there's nothing too unique about it, just the head and the wings and, well, the belt with the holster itself. But overall, the figure looks really great, despite the horrible colors of the costume itself. Not the figure's fault, but the character itself. That's what I love about this. If I'm gonna give a rating for Killer Moth, I would say I'll give it a nice 8 out of 10. Yes, a nice 8 out of 10 for Killer Moth here, because he has no problems at all. The joints are really nicely tight, and it is rather unique in his own horrible way. Yes. So 8 out of 10 for Killer Moth here. I thank you all for watching. This is Lucy05, and I'm signing off.